I love stories where God is involved, where we see God moving. God performed many signs leading up to 70 AD, and Josephus details them, and they're all exciting. And everybody there, the Romans, the Jews, if they were Christians, they all saw them. Everybody knew God was there. Whoever they thought God was, they all knew he was there. And he's moving in our times too. And there's one sign that happened a couple of years ago, and people, I don't think, are fully aware of it. I love to watch. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let me point out the fact that, yes, this is the miracle, potential miracle shirt. I'm wearing it again, and there's a reason. I mentioned after my last video I was going to call the Vatican and get the miracle validation team to come out and verify that this is a miracle shirt, because that I wore this on a video that is now up to 57,000 views. That is so far away and above anything that I've ever had. I mean, I was getting 300 views until that one came along. There's something special. The message was really not much different than some of the other ones. It was the shirt. So after last week's show, I called the Vatican. A little bit of a debacle.
Hello, and thank you for calling the Vatican. If you know your party's extension, you may enter it now. Otherwise, press 1 to make a donation. To donate your car, press 2. Press 3 to report an apparition of Mary. If you wish to confess a sin, please speak to your local priest. If you wish to confess a sin and make a donation, press 4. Press 5 to speak to our miracle validation team. To speak to the Pope, press 6.
Oh, I hit 6. I didn't want to talk to the Pope.
Fratelli e sorelle, buongiorno.
Buongiorno. Is this Olive Garden? Did I? No, sir, I made a mistake. I was trying to get to the miracle team, and I accidentally pressed your number. I'm sorry to bother you.
Questo non è una cosa nuova, questa spiegazione.
You don't understand it. You don't speak English?
Non sono...
No. Well, see, what I did was...
semplicemente una catechesi
Wait
sulla parola
a minute. Don't get huffy with me. Nobody's perfect. Oh, that's right. You are. Look, let me try this. I want to make a donation.
Qui no.
Donations.
Yeah, look, I was talking to the Pope, didn't mean to talk to the Pope, so I needed to get out of the Pope, get somebody else. Can you get me to 5 to the miracle team?
Cash, check, credit card, PayPal, or Bitcoin.
I had to give him a $10 donation to get him to send me over to the miracle validation team. Now, I talked with them, and they said, well, let us look at your channel. And then they called back and said, yeah, it sure seems like if you got 57,000 views on one of your videos, it's a miracle. So they said, I tell you what, before we spend all the money to fly over there and take a close look, why don't you wear it again, and let's see if you get 50,000 plus views, and then we'll know we're onto something. So that's why I'm wearing it. Now, if it turns out that this is in fact a miracle shirt, does that mean that God loves me more than you, that he values me more than you? Let me give a 2-word answer to that. You think? Of course he would. Of course he would. He doesn't go around giving miracle clothes to just anybody. If he gave it to me, I'm special. And I'll have spiritual superiority over everybody I meet for the rest of my life. In addition, I could be placed on the Catholic Miracle Site Vacation Tour, in which I could make some money selling refreshments. So there's a lot at stake in this video. But what I want to talk about is a sign that God gave on, November 11th, 2018, 11/11. Oh, I was watching. I've been watching every 11/11 since I had 4 unbelievable months of seeing 11/11 earlier that year. And November 11th came and went. What I was going to say before I showed you the recording of me calling the Vatican is that there's a site that I really like. It's called unsealed.org. Now, they're way more certain of the pre-trib rapture than I am, but they're sharp guys and gals. And I notice that they will do an update of various signs that God has been performing, and they always seem to leave this one out. People have to know about this sign that took place November 11th, 2018. Now, I was watching the news all day long, waiting to see if something was going to happen on 11/11. Nothing did. A couple days later, I'm going through the Drudge Report, which I no longer do, by the way, but I was going through the Drudge Report on their list of articles, and I saw one that said, "Scientists stunned by seismic event on 11/11." I thought, what seismic event? There were no really abnormal earthquakes anywhere. So I went to the article, and I realized he absolutely performed an amazing sign on that day. Now, even if you have heard the story, I'm telling you, I stumbled onto something else that was going on that day that I think is connected to it. And I haven't seen anybody else talk about this. I was lucky just to stumble on it. So even if you've heard this story, stick with me, okay? Not because I'm trying to get 50,000 views. Your view already counts. You can leave if you want to. I've already got it. It's in the bank. If I do this justice, every one of you is going to see that God moved in a very special way on that day. When every expert in a field is saying, I've never seen anything like it. Well, what was it? I have no idea. Every single seismologist that reporters reached out to all had that same response. Even a guy who specializes in bizarre earthquakes, I didn't know there was such a thing, even he said, I've never seen anything like this. Here's what happened. Early morning, November 11th, 2018, off the coast of Africa near Madagascar on the ocean floor, something began to happen. Now, normally when an earthquake happens, it sends out 3 waves. I had to learn all this. A primary wave, a secondary wave, and a surface wave. The primary wave and the secondary wave are what make the earth really move. The surface wave is generally a low rumble that's kind of chaotic, that sometimes you can hear and sometimes you can't. And it goes a long ways, and it sets off seismographs for many, many miles. This event went around the world. If you put a pin through Africa, it's going to come out close to Hawaii. Hawaii, they picked this event up as well. But there were no primary or secondary waves. It was just a surface wave. Now, I don't know how rare that is, but that's not why I'm bringing it to you. It's what it did that makes it so special, because no one had ever seen anything like what it did. Now, a surface wave is chaotic, but not this surface wave. This surface wave formed a perfect sound wave. Let me show you a picture of what it looked like. It looked like that, a perfect sound wave. No one had ever seen an earthquake do that, make a perfect sound wave. And one of the scientists who saw it said, you know, if we could hear that sound, which they couldn't because it was so far below the ocean floor, no one heard it, and yet the sound was being made, the scientist said it would be the sound of a very low monotone bell. This picture right here on my Adobe Audition equipment is a picture of exactly what the sound wave looked like, and it happens to be the sound wave of a bell. It would sound something like this. Now, if it just happened once, it would be remarkable. It would, because nobody's ever seen it happen before. But it didn't happen just once. It happened every 17 seconds for 20 minutes. Do the math on it. 70 times. 70 times this bell tolled and went around the world. Nobody felt anything. No one actually heard anything. They saw the sound being formed who knows how many feet below sea level and going around the world time after time, the same perfect sound wave forming over and over and over again. Even today, if you were to go up to a seismologist, you ever run into one, just ask him, What or her? What was that thing on November 11th, 2018? They'll know exactly what you're talking about. Oh, that. Because everyone saw it. It's unique sometimes how God will do a sign. Every seismologist on the planet is aware of it. A bunch of reporters are aware of it, National Geographic being one because they're the ones that coined the term, the day the earth rang like a bell. And some Christians. That's it. That's it. But everybody should know about it because it's very special. And I want to bring you the other event that took place that day that I think is connected to why did God send that somber tolling of a bell around the planet 70 times. But, you know, I just have a feeling the next month, because I'm sure there's some sort of American Association of Seismologists who meet every year at a convention, probably like in Lake Tahoe. And I'm sure that year, let's say it was a month after the November 11th seismic event, sometime in December, they're holding their convention. First night, probably a Thursday night, president of the group probably stood up and said, gentlemen, before we begin all of the activities we have planned for you, I have to take all of you to the woodshed because of what your behavior was like on November 11th. Ladies and gentlemen, do I have to remind you that when reporters call you and ask, what is that? You don't say, I don't know. And that's what all of you said. You're scientists. You don't say, I don't know. The only way you could have looked more idiotic is if you'd said it with your finger stuck up your nose, looking down at your shoes. I don't know is what a 5-year-old says when he's asked, why are your bed sheets wet? It's not what a scientist says. You dismiss and deflect. You don't know what something is, a reporter calls you, you simply say, huh? Oh, that? Yeah, we've got several working theories, but we're going to wait till all of the data is in, and then we'll be issuing a statement later in the week. But if I were you, I would be more concerned about the new fault line we found running under your mother's house. You see, you dismiss and deflect. Now, having said that, next year on November 11th, those reporters are going to circle back and they're going to say, you've had a year to think about it. What was it? And we darn better have a response. So I'm going to ask anybody here in the audience, well, what should we tell them? Marcia, Dr. Whitehurst, what do you think?
A gaseous decomposition product of organic matter.
Swamp gas? Seriously, Marcia? Swamp gas? I mean, that's the same as saying, I don't know. Now we can do better than that. In the back, James, Dr. Mitchell, what do you suggest?
Just off the top of my head, what about lava flow?
Lava flow? Lava flow? That wasn't. Well, you know what? They don't know it was lava flow. Yeah, let's go with lava flow. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay.
Nay.
Marcia, don't be petty. That's what they said. That's what they said. A year later, they came back and said lava flow. Now, they know what lava flow looks like, but nobody said lava flow when this hit on November 11th, 2018. Now, here's the kicker. There was something else going on that day, and I just happened to stumble onto it. The New Age movement all year long, all during 2018, was telling its adherents around the world, November 11th, we're holding the mass meditation. The mass meditation will begin exactly at 11 o'clock Universal Time. So wherever you are at 11 a.m. Universal Time, you'll begin meditating. Now here in the Central Time Zone, that would have been, I think, like 5 a.m. or something. So they begin meditating on November 11th, 2018, on 11/11, because 11/11 has a big occult feel to it. A lot of people think that day is one of the very special occult days. Well, here's news for you. It's God's day, okay? And he likes to reclaim what is his. But at 11 Universal Time on that day, everybody began to meditate, and they were told what to meditate on. Meditate on opening a portal to allow fresh spiritual energy in. It was a ritual. that was being held all over the world to bring in entities. They can call it fresh spiritual energy, but we know what they're trying to bring in. They're always trying to open a portal and bring something in. And that day they took it very seriously. Here's what's interesting, isn't it? That began at 11 Universal Time that morning. And it was, of course, afternoons and probably Europe and whatnot. But at 11 Universal Time, the earthquakes that wasn't a quake began at 9:30 Universal Time and went 20 minutes to just before 10 o'clock. So about an hour before the mass meditation began, God sent out those warning shots. And I think he was saying several things. But I think, and I don't want to speak for God unless I'm reading out of the Bible and quoting him, we're just throwing some stuff out going, maybe. What he thinks we're incapable of actually matching. You know that, and I know that. Believe me, I know that. But he may have been telling them, be very careful for what you wish for. Because a lot of people who deal on that front line with occult groups, they're being told by the people who practice those rituals that over the last couple of years, stronger and more uncontrollable entities are coming through. Whether or not they were successful in opening a portal, God was saying, I'm in charge here. And at the end of the day, I will bring my wrath. I also think he might have been saying to the rest of us, this earthquake had no quake. It had no sound. It made a sound, we just couldn't hear it. Seismographs picked it up, but we couldn't hear it. But it was clearly his signature with 70 of those sound waves hitting in 20 minutes. And I think he was also saying, I'm going to send 3 earthquakes. You can read about them in the book of Revelation. And when they come, they won't be quakeless. There will be sound, and there will be fury. And the next one is coming up very soon, right after the silence in heaven for about 30 minutes. We should get ready. We should take those little sounds, those bell rings that we couldn't hear, as either alarm bells, warning bells, or wake-up bells. And for the rest of the world, they're going to be funeral bells. But we'll see. He'll do it all in his time. Thank you for your time. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you. Hello?
That was the worst spit take I've ever seen.
Well, I'll tell you one good thing about it is that I was able to blow all that water all over your clothes, which are still sitting on the floor of my office. Hello? Is that you breathing? Sis? Is that you? Are you mad?